Picture this. You're a tiny green jewel, no bigger than a human thumb, perched on a leaf that trembles with your every breath. The world around you is a cathedral of emerald, towering blades of grass that stretch like skyscrapers toward a sky so vast it makes your heart race. Every droplet of morning dew is a crystal ball reflecting your golden eyes, and every shadow could hide a predator with jaws wide enough to swallow you whole. This is your reality as a green tree frog, and it's nothing like the peaceful pond life you might imagine. Most people think being a frog is simple. Hop around, catch flies, croak at night, maybe sit on a lily pad looking wise. But the truth is, life as a green tree frog is a masterclass in survival. A daily dance between life and death that would make your human problems seem like gentle whispers in comparison. You're not just living, you're constantly calculating, adapting, and fighting for every single breath in a world that wants to eat you alive. Your day begins before the sun even thinks about rising. Not because you're an early bird, but because you're cold-blooded, which means you're essentially a living thermometer. As the night air cools your tiny body, you become sluggish, vulnerable, almost statue-like. You can't just wake up and grab coffee like a human. Instead, you have to wait for the world to warm you up, slowly, carefully, like a delicate piece of machinery coming online. Your metabolism is tied directly to the temperature around you, which means every dawn is a gamble. Will you warm up fast enough to escape that snake you sense slithering nearby? Will your reflexes kick in before that bird spots your bright green skin against the brown bark? But here's where it gets fascinating. Your skin isn't just skin, it's a living, breathing, drinking miracle. You don't drink water through your mouth like humans do. Instead, you absorb it directly through your skin, which means every surface you touch becomes a potential lifeline or death trap. That leaf you're sitting on, you're literally drinking it. The morning dew, it's your breakfast beverage. But this also means that every toxin, every chemical, every pollutant in your environment goes straight into your bloodstream. You're like a living water filter, constantly processing the world around you. And if that world is contaminated, you're the first to know because you're the first to die. Your skin is so sensitive that you can feel the vibrations of a footstep from 20 feet away. Every raindrop that hits a leaf nearby sends shockwaves through your body. You're essentially living inside a giant sensory network where every blade of grass is a tripwire. Every branch is a communication cable, and every breeze carries messages that could mean the difference between eating and being eaten. Imagine if you could feel every conversation in your neighborhood, every car driving by, every person walking past your house. That's your reality, except instead of being annoying, it's literally keeping you alive. Now let's talk about food, because this is where your life becomes truly alien. You don't hunt like a mammal. You don't forage like a bird. You're essentially a living mousetrap with eyes. You sit perfectly still, sometimes for hours, waiting for prey to come within range. But here's the catch. You can only see things that move. A dead fly sitting right in front of your face might as well be invisible. Your eyes are motion detectors, not cameras. So you're constantly scanning, waiting, watching for that telltale flutter of wings or the scurrying of tiny legs. When you do spot prey, everything changes in milliseconds. Your tongue, which is attached to the front of your mouth rather than the back like a human's, shoots out like a biological harpoon. It's sticky, it's fast, and it's incredibly accurate. But here's what's really wild. You don't have teeth. So whatever you catch, you have to swallow whole. Imagine trying to eat a hamburger by unhinging your jaw and swallowing it in one piece. That's every meal for you. And if you miscalculate, if that cricket is just a little too big or that beetle fights back just a little too hard, you could choke to death on your own dinner. Your throat muscles have to work overtime, pushing and squeezing your food down into your stomach while you're still trying to breathe. And breathing itself is complicated because you don't have a diaphragm like mammals do. Instead, you have to actively pump air into your lungs using your throat muscles, which means you can't eat and breathe at the same time. Every meal is a carefully choreographed dance between swallowing and suffocating. But the real terror of your existence isn't hunger. It's everything else that's hungry for you. You're basically a protein-packed snack with legs, and the list of things that want to eat you reads like a nature documentary from hell. Birds attack from above, their shadows passing over you like death omens. Snakes slither through your territory, their heat-sensing abilities making your warm body glow like a beacon in their predatory vision. Fish lurk in the water below, waiting for you to make one wrong move during your evening drink. Even other frogs, bigger ones, will happily make you their midnight snack. And then there are the spiders. Oh, the spiders. Some of them are bigger than you are, and they don't just bite and run. They wrap you up like a Christmas present and save you for later. Imagine being slowly dissolved alive while conscious, turned into soup from the inside out. That's the fate that awaits you if you stumble into the wrong web on the wrong night. Your response to all this terror is to become a master of disguise and deception. Your skin can change color, not as dramatically as a chameleon, but enough to help you blend into different environments. When you're stressed, you turn darker. When you're relaxed, you brighten up. When you're trying to hide, you become mottled in texture to match whatever surface you're on. You're like a living mood ring that could save your life. But color changing is just the beginning. You've also mastered the art of staying perfectly still. Not just quiet, but absolutely motionless for extended periods. Your heart rate drops, your breathing becomes almost imperceptible, and you enter a state that's part meditation, part terror-induced paralysis. You're simultaneously hyper-aware of every sound and movement around you, while appearing to be nothing more than a bump on a log. When stealth fails, you have other tricks. You can leap distances that would be equivalent to a human jumping over a 3-story building. Your legs are like coiled springs, storing energy and releasing it in explosive bursts that can carry you to safety in the blink of an eye, but every jump is a calculated risk. Land in the wrong spot, and you might find yourself in the territory of something even more dangerous than what you were fleeing from. Your feet are engineering marvels, equipped with tiny suction cups that allow you to walk on vertical surfaces and even hang upside down from smooth leaves. You're basically Spider-Man, but green and much more likely to be eaten. These toe pads work through a combination of surface tension and molecular adhesion, allowing you to stick to surfaces that would be impossible for creatures many times your size. You can walk up a glass window, across the underside of a wet leaf, or cling to the smooth bark of a tree in a rainstorm. But perhaps the most alien aspect of your existence is your relationship with water. You need it to survive, but it's also one of the most dangerous places you can be. Every trip to the water's edge is a gamble. You might be going for a drink, or to rehydrate your skin, or to find aquatic prey. But you're also entering the domain of fish, aquatic insects, and other predators that see you as an easy meal. You can't swim very well despite being an amphibian. You're much more comfortable in the trees, which makes every water encounter a high-stakes mission. When you do enter water, your whole body changes. Your skin becomes even more permeable, absorbing water rapidly, but also becoming more vulnerable to toxins. Your movements become slower and more deliberate. You're essentially entering an environment where you're at a severe disadvantage, but you have no choice because dehydration will kill you just as surely as any predator. The nights are when your world truly comes alive and when your life becomes most dangerous. As a nocturnal creature, you're most active when the human world is asleep. The darkness that provides you with cover also hides the threats around you. Every rustle in the leaves could be a snake. Every shadow could be a hunting owl. Every vibration through the branches could be a predator closing in. But you're not just hiding in the darkness, you're also communicating through it. Your voice, that distinctive croaking that humans find so charming, is actually a complex communication system. You're announcing your territory, calling for mates, warning off rivals, and coordinating with other frogs in a symphony of survival. Each call is precisely timed and carefully modulated to convey specific information. You're essentially participating in a nightly radio show where the wrong frequency could get you killed. Your mating calls are particularly risky because they're loud, repetitive, and essentially broadcast your location to every predator in the area. It's like shouting, "Here I am," in a crowded room full of people who want to hurt you. But the drive to reproduce is so strong that you'll risk everything for the chance to pass on your genes. You'll sit exposed on a prominent branch, calling out into the night, hoping that a female will find you attractive enough to approach and that a predator won't find you first. When you do find a mate, the process is both beautiful and terrifying. You'll embrace her in a grip called amplexus, holding on for hours or even days while she carries you around, looking for the perfect place to lay eggs. You have no control during this time. You're completely dependent on her choices, her strength, and her ability to avoid danger while you're literally along for the ride. The egg-laying process is another exercise in calculated risk. You need to find water that's clean enough for your eggs to develop, but not so clean that it lacks the microscopic food your tadpoles will need. The water needs to be warm enough for development, but not so warm that it becomes oxygen depleted. It needs to be permanent enough to last through the entire tadpole stage, but not so permanent that it's home to large predators. Once your eggs are laid, your parental duties are essentially over. You don't guard the nest or protect your offspring. They're on their own from the moment they're fertilized, which means that out of the hundreds of eggs you might fertilize, only a tiny fraction will survive to become adults. It's a numbers game where the house always wins, and the house is a hostile environment filled with creatures that consider your babies to be gourmet cuisine. Your offspring face challenges that make your adult life look easy. As eggs, they're vulnerable to fungal infections, temperature fluctuations, and predators that specialize in eating amphibian eggs. As tadpoles, they're essentially aquatic sitting ducks, unable to escape to the safety of trees, dependent on their aquatic environment for everything, and tasty enough that almost every aquatic predator will take a bite. The metamorphosis from tadpole to frog is perhaps the most vulnerable time in your species' entire life cycle. Your young are literally dissolving and rebuilding their bodies, growing legs while absorbing their tails, switching from gills to lungs, changing their diet from herbivorous to carnivorous. During this transformation, they're neither fully aquatic nor fully terrestrial. They're caught between two worlds, belonging fully to neither, and vulnerable in ways that would make your current danger seem manageable. But let's return to your adult life, because survival is a full-time job that never gets easier. Your daily routine is a carefully choreographed ballet of risk management. You wake up each day and immediately assess the temperature, the humidity, the available shelter, and the potential threats. You're constantly calculating energy expenditure versus energy intake, weighing the risks of hunting against the risks of starvation. Your hunting strategy is patience incarnate. You might spend hours in the same position waiting for the perfect opportunity, but this patience comes with a cost. Every moment you spend motionless is a moment when conditions could change. The weather could shift, making you too cold to react quickly. A predator could spot you despite your camouflage. A rival frog could claim your territory while you're focused on hunting. When you do move, every motion is deliberate and purposeful. You don't have the luxury of casual movement. Every step, every leap, every adjustment of position is calculated to minimize risk while maximizing opportunity. You're like a chess player who has to think 10 moves ahead, except the consequences of a wrong move aren't losing a game, they're losing your life. Your territory is both your kingdom and your prison. You know every branch, every leaf, every potential hiding spot within your small domain. This familiarity is your greatest asset, allowing you to navigate in complete darkness, to find shelter in seconds, to know exactly where to go when danger approaches. But this same territory is also a trap. You can't venture far from your known safe spaces without entering the unknown, where every surface could hide a threat, every shadow could conceal a predator. The seasonal changes add another layer of complexity to your existence. As autumn approaches, your world begins to shut down. The insects you depend on for food become scarce. The temperatures drop, slowing your metabolism and making you increasingly vulnerable. You have to find a safe place to spend the winter, a process called brumation that's similar to hibernation but much more dangerous. During brumation, you're not truly asleep. You're in a state of reduced activity, but you're still aware of your surroundings. You still need to breathe, though much less frequently. You still need some water, though much less than during active periods. And you're still vulnerable to predators, though most of them are also dealing with winter survival challenges. Finding the right brumation site is crucial. It needs to be protected from freezing temperatures, but not so warm that it tricks your body into thinking it's spring. It needs to be hidden from predators, but accessible enough that you can emerge when the weather improves. It needs to be moist enough to keep your skin from drying out, but not so wet that you're at risk of drowning or fungal infections. The emergence from brumation is almost as dangerous as the winter itself. You're weak, disoriented, and desperate for food and water. Your reflexes are slow, your muscles are stiff, and your judgment might be impaired by months of reduced brain activity. You have to relearn your territory, reestablish your hunting patterns, and rebuild your strength, all while dealing with the same predators and environmental challenges that were there when you went dormant. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of your existence is your role as an environmental indicator. Your permeable skin and sensitive physiology make you one of the first species to be affected by environmental changes. When pesticides are used in your area, you absorb them directly through your skin. When air quality decreases, you feel it in your lungs. When water becomes polluted, you taste it every time you rehydrate. This sensitivity means that your species serves as an early warning system for environmental health. When frog populations decline, it's often a sign that the ecosystem is under stress. When frogs develop deformities, it indicates the presence of pollutants or other environmental problems. You're like a living environmental monitor, constantly testing the world around you and paying the price for humanity's impact on the natural world. Your existence is a testament to the incredible adaptability and resilience of life. Despite all the challenges, all the dangers, all the seemingly impossible odds, you persist. You've survived for millions of years, adapting to changing climates, evolving predators, and shifting ecosystems. You've mastered the art of living in multiple worlds simultaneously, equally at home in water and on land, in the canopy and on the ground. Every day you wake up as a green tree frog is a day you've beaten the odds. Every successful hunt is a victory against starvation. Every night you survive is a triumph over the darkness and its hidden dangers. Every season you endure is proof of your species' incredible tenacity and adaptability. So the next time you hear a frog croaking in the distance, remember that you're listening to one of nature's most successful survivors. That simple sound represents a complex life lived on the edge, a daily struggle against overwhelming odds, and a testament to the incredible diversity and resilience of life on Earth. You're not just a small green creature sitting on a lily pad. You're a master of survival, a living miracle, and a reminder that even the smallest among us can thrive in a world that seems designed to destroy us. But here's where things get truly extraordinary. Because what you've just experienced as a green tree frog barely scratches the surface of your daily reality. Your existence operates on layers of complexity that most creatures never encounter. Every moment demands split-second decisions that determine whether you see another sunrise, and the sophistication of your survival mechanisms would humble the most advanced technology humans have ever created. Your brain processes information at speeds that defy comprehension. When that shadow passes overhead, you don't just freeze randomly. Your nervous system instantly calculates the shadow's size, speed, and trajectory. Too small? Probably just a leaf. Too slow? Maybe a cloud. But that perfect combination of size and velocity that screams predator? Your body responds before your consciousness even registers the threat. This isn't simple reflex. This is biological supercomputing. The mathematics of your survival are staggering. Your toe pads don't just stick to surfaces through magic. They're engineering marvels that would make NASA scientists weep with envy. Each pad contains millions of microscopic hairs called seedae, and each hair splits into even tinier branches that interact with surfaces at the molecular level. You're literally using the same forces that hold atoms together to walk up glass windows. Van der Waals forces, intermolecular attraction. You're a living demonstration of quantum physics in action. But your skin tells an even more remarkable story. It's not just your breathing apparatus and water absorption system. It's a chemical laboratory that would put pharmaceutical companies to shame. You manufacture your own antibiotics. Your skin secretes compounds that kill bacteria and fungi before they can establish infections. You're essentially a walking pharmacy, constantly producing medicines that keep you healthy in environments teeming with pathogens that would devastate other creatures. Your camouflage system operates on principles that military researchers spend billions trying to replicate. You don't just change color, you alter your entire optical signature. Special cells called chromatophores contain different pigments, and you can expand or contract these cells to create any combination of colors and patterns. But here's the truly mind-bending part. You can change the texture of your skin simultaneously. Smooth for blending with leaves, rough for mimicking bark, and everything in between. You're a living hologram. The energy management required for your lifestyle would bankrupt most creatures. You're operating on the biological equivalent of a shoestring budget, yet you're performing feats that require enormous expenditures of energy. That lightning-fast tongue strike, it accelerates faster than a fighter jet. The muscle contractions generate forces that would tear apart most biological tissues. Yet you can repeat this performance dozens of times per night without breaking down. Your hunting strategy reveals intelligence that borders on the supernatural. You don't just sit and wait randomly, you position yourself based on insect flight patterns, wind direction, ambient temperature, and humidity levels. You're conducting environmental analysis that would impress meteorologists. That perfect spot where you choose to wait isn't accidental. It's the result of processing hundreds of variables to identify the optimal intersection of prey availability and predator safety. The acoustic landscape you navigate is richer than any symphony. Your hearing detects frequencies and patterns invisible to human perception. You can distinguish between the wing beats of different insect species in complete darkness. You know the difference between a moth that's worth the energy expenditure and one that's too small to justify the effort. You're conducting acoustic profiling that would challenge the most sophisticated audio analysis software. Your vocal communications operate on multiple channels simultaneously. That call you make isn't just announcing your presence, it's broadcasting your size, health status, territorial boundaries, and reproductive readiness. You're transmitting a complex data packet that other frogs decode instantly, and you're doing this while monitoring the calls of every other frog in the area, tracking their locations, status, and intentions. You're managing a biological internet. The timing of your activity synchronizes with natural rhythms that humans barely understand. You don't just come out at night because it's dark. You're responding to barometric pressure changes, lunar cycles, temperature gradients, and electromagnetic field fluctuations. Your internal clock is calibrated to planetary forces. You're living in harmony with cosmic rhythms that ancient civilizations worshipped as divine. Your memory system stores and retrieves information with precision that would shame supercomputers. You remember the exact locations of successful hunting spots, the timing of insect emergence, the paths that provide optimal cover, and the territories of potential predators. You're maintaining a constantly updated mental map of your environment that includes temporal as well as spatial information. You know not just where things are, but when they'll be there. The chemical analysis capabilities of your sensory system detect molecular signatures at concentrations that approach theoretical limits. You can taste the difference between safe water and water contaminated with pollutants at parts per billion. You're conducting chemical analysis that requires million-dollar laboratory equipment for humans to achieve. Your tongue and skin are sampling and analyzing the molecular composition of your environment continuously. Your reproductive timing demonstrates an understanding of probability and risk management that would impress financial analysts. You don't just mate randomly, you're calculating optimal breeding windows based on temperature trends, rainfall patterns, predator activity cycles, and food availability projections. You're making reproductive decisions based on sophisticated environmental modeling. The construction of your foam nest involves architectural principles that engineers are still trying to understand. You're creating structures that are simultaneously lightweight, waterproof, insulating, and breathable. The foam chemistry involves proteins and surfactants that create the perfect microenvironment for developing eggs. You're performing biochemical engineering without blueprints or calculations. Your ability to survive temperature fluctuations involves cellular processes that researchers are studying for applications in organ preservation and space travel. You can slow your metabolism to near-death levels and then resurrect yourself when conditions improve. You're demonstrating biological time travel, essentially pausing your life and then resuming it when circumstances warrant. The social intelligence required to navigate breeding aggregations rivals that of highly social mammals. You're reading behavioral cues, negotiating territorial boundaries, assessing competitive threats, and making strategic alliance decisions. You're conducting complex social calculations while managing the physiological stress of reproduction and the constant threat of predation. Your migration patterns, though short distance, involve navigation skills that utilize multiple sensory modalities. You're using visual landmarks, chemical gradients, acoustic cues, and possibly even magnetic field information to find your way through complex terrain. You're conducting multimodal navigation that would challenge professional orienteers. The waste management systems in your body operate with efficiency that would revolutionize human sewage treatment. You're recycling water, concentrating toxins, and eliminating waste while maintaining perfect chemical balance in your tissues. You're running a biological treatment plant that never shuts down and never fails. Your immune system maintains vigilance against threats that would overwhelm most creatures. You're simultaneously defending against viral infections, bacterial invasions, fungal colonization, and parasitic infestations. You're fighting a forefront war against microscopic enemies while maintaining perfect health and peak performance. The energy conversion efficiency of your digestive system approaches theoretical maximums. You're extracting every possible calorie from your prey while simultaneously processing and neutralizing toxins. You're running a biological refinery that converts raw materials into usable energy with virtually no waste. Your sensory integration creates a unified perception of reality that combines information from multiple channels into coherent, actionable intelligence. You're fusing visual, auditory, chemical, tactile, and thermal information into a single comprehensive awareness of your environment. You're performing data fusion that challenges the most advanced artificial intelligence systems. And perhaps most remarkably, you're accomplishing all of this while maintaining the flexibility to adapt to changing conditions. You're not just a biological machine running predetermined programs. You're a living system capable of learning, adapting, and evolving in real time. You're writing the code of your own existence as you live it. This is what it means to live as a green tree frog. Not just surviving, but thriving through the deployment of biological technologies that represent millions of years of research and development. You are a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, a testament to the incredible complexity and beauty of life itself. So far, you've experienced the fundamental mechanics of being a green tree frog. But let's dive deeper into the psychological and cognitive landscape of this existence. Your brain, though smaller than a human fingernail, operates with remarkable sophistication, processing an overwhelming stream of sensory information that would paralyze a human mind. Every moment of your existence is a complex calculation of risk versus reward, filtered through neural pathways that have been refined over millions of years of evolution. The decision-making process that governs your life happens at lightning speed. When a cricket moves within striking distance, your brain doesn't deliberate. It processes the size, speed, trajectory, and energy cost of the hunt in milliseconds. Your eyes, positioned on the sides of your head, provide nearly 360-degree vision, constantly scanning for movement while your inner ear detects the slightest vibrations. This sensory overload would overwhelm most creatures, but your nervous system has evolved to prioritize threats and opportunities with ruthless efficiency. Consider the complexity of a single night's hunt. You're perched on a leaf, motionless, when a spider approaches. Your brain instantly evaluates. Is it large enough to be worth the energy expenditure? Is it venomous? Could the movement required to catch it expose you to aerial predators? All while simultaneously monitoring for the approaching footsteps of a snake, the shadow of a bird, and the chemical signatures carried on the wind. This isn't instinct in the simple sense we often imagine. This is real-time environmental analysis that would challenge the most advanced artificial intelligence systems. Your memory systems operate differently than those of mammals. Rather than storing detailed autobiographical memories, you retain critical survival information with extraordinary precision. You remember the exact location of every successful hunt, the timing of a predator activity, the subtle changes in humidity that signal approaching storms. Your brain maps your territory with GPS-like accuracy, noting which branches can support your weight, which leaves provide the best camouflage, and which areas offer the quickest escape routes. The social dynamics of your world are far more complex than most humans realize. While you're primarily solitary, you're constantly communicating with other frogs through a sophisticated system of calls, chemical signals, and visual displays. Your throat sac isn't just for attracting mates. It's a complex communication device capable of producing dozens of distinct vocalizations, each conveying specific information about your size, health, territorial boundaries, and reproductive status. You can distinguish between the calls of dozens of individual frogs, recognizing neighbors, rivals, and potential mates by their unique vocal signatures. During breeding season, this communication becomes even more intricate. Male frogs engage in vocal duels that can last for hours, each trying to outperform the other in volume, duration, and complexity. These aren't random croaks. They're carefully structured acoustic displays that demonstrate fitness, stamina, and genetic quality. Females evaluate these performances with the discriminating ear of a music critic, able to detect subtle variations in pitch, rhythm, and tone that indicate the caller's suitability as a mate. Your relationship with water goes far beyond simple hydration. Water is your lifeline, your security blanket, and your greatest vulnerability all at once. Your permeable skin requires constant moisture balance, and you can sense humidity changes that are imperceptible to humans. When humidity drops, you become increasingly desperate, willing to take risks you would normally avoid. This creates a constant tension in your existence. You need water to survive, but water sources are magnets for predators. Every trip to drink becomes a carefully calculated gamble. The seasonal cycles that govern your life create dramatic shifts in your physiology and behavior. As temperatures drop, your metabolism slows, and you enter a state called brumation. This isn't simply hibernation. It's a complex physiological process where your body temperature, heart rate, and breathing slow dramatically, but you remain aware of your surroundings. You might not eat for months, surviving entirely on stored fat reserves while your body essentially runs on minimal power. During these dormant periods, your brain continues to process environmental cues. You're monitoring temperature fluctuations, day length, and humidity levels, waiting for the precise combination of conditions that signals the end of winter. When spring arrives, your awakening is explosive. Hormones flood your system, your metabolism accelerates, and you emerge with an intense drive to feed, territory, and reproduce. Your skin serves as far more than just a protective barrier. It's a complex organ that breathes, drinks, and communicates with the environment. Through your skin, you can absorb oxygen directly from the air, detect chemical signatures that reveal the presence of predators or prey, and even sense electrical fields generated by the muscle contractions of nearby animals. This makes you incredibly sensitive to environmental changes, but also vulnerable to pollution, chemicals, and climate fluctuations that other animals might not even notice. The color-changing abilities you possess represent one of nature's most sophisticated camouflage systems. Your skin contains specialized cells called chromatophores that can rapidly adjust their pigmentation based on light conditions, temperature, mood, and social context. When you're stressed, your colors become more muted. When you're aggressive or territorial, they intensify. This isn't conscious control. It's an automatic response system that's integrated with your nervous system and hormonal cycles. Your digestive system operates on a feast or famine principle. When food is abundant, you can consume prey items up to half your body weight in a single night. Your stomach can expand dramatically to accommodate large meals, and your metabolism can accelerate to process the sudden influx of nutrients. Conversely, during lean periods, you can slow your metabolism to near dormancy levels, surviving for weeks without food, while maintaining alertness and the ability to hunt when opportunities arise. The predator-prey relationships that define your existence create a constant state of hyper-awareness. You've evolved to recognize the hunting patterns of dozens of different predators, from the patient stalking of snakes to the sudden swooping attacks of birds. Each predator requires a different defensive strategy. Against snakes, you might freeze and rely on camouflage. Against birds, you might leap erratically to confuse their targeting systems. Against spiders, you might use your superior size and jumping ability to escape their webs. Your nocturnal lifestyle isn't just about avoiding daytime predators. It's about maximizing efficiency in a world where every calorie counts. Night hunting allows you to target insects that are less active and therefore easier to catch. The cooler temperatures reduce your metabolic demands, allowing you to hunt longer with less energy expenditure. Your night vision, enhanced by specialized cells in your retinas, gives you a significant advantage over many of your prey species. The acoustic landscape of your world is rich and complex. Beyond the obvious sounds of predators and prey, you're constantly monitoring a symphony of environmental audio cues. The rustling of leaves might indicate wind patterns that will affect your jumping accuracy. The distant splash of water might signal the approach of a fish or turtle. The calls of other animals provide information about weather changes, territorial boundaries, and the general health of your ecosystem. Your jumping ability represents one of the most impressive biomechanical achievements in the animal kingdom. Your powerful hind legs can propel you distances of up to 20 times your body length in a single leap. But this isn't just about distance. You can adjust your trajectory mid-jump, land on surfaces at any angle, and immediately launch into another leap without pause. This three-dimensional mobility makes you incredibly difficult for predators to track and capture. The energy management systems that govern your existence are finely tuned for survival in an unpredictable world. You can switch between different metabolic states depending on environmental conditions, food availability, and seasonal cycles. During active periods, your metabolism runs hot, processing food quickly and maintaining high activity levels. During dormant periods, you can slow your metabolism to a crawl, conserving energy while remaining alert to opportunities and threats. Your reproductive cycles are synchronized with environmental conditions with remarkable precision. You can detect subtle changes in day length, temperature, and humidity that signal optimal breeding conditions. When these conditions align, your body rapidly shifts into reproductive mode with dramatic changes in hormone levels, behavior, and even physical appearance. This synchronization ensures that your offspring will emerge during periods of maximum food availability and minimum predation pressure. The territorial behaviors you exhibit are based on complex assessments of resource availability, competition levels, and defensive capabilities. You don't simply claim territory at random. You evaluate the quality of hunting grounds, the availability of shelter, proximity to water sources, and the strength of neighboring frogs. Your territorial boundaries are constantly shifting based on these factors, creating a dynamic social landscape that requires constant monitoring and adjustment. Your communication systems extend far beyond vocalizations. You use visual displays, chemical signals, and even vibrational communication to interact with other frogs. Your throat movements, body postures, and color changes all convey information about your intentions, emotional state, and social status. This multimodal communication system allows for incredibly nuanced interactions that can prevent conflicts, establish hierarchies, and coordinate group activities. The environmental challenges you face are becoming increasingly complex as human activities alter your habitat. Climate change affects your breeding cycles, pollution impacts your permeable skin, and habitat fragmentation forces you to make longer, more dangerous journeys between essential resources. Your survival depends on your ability to adapt to these rapidly changing conditions while maintaining the delicate balance of behaviors that have kept your species alive for millions of years. Your existence as a green tree frog represents a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. A living system that seamlessly integrates complex sensory processing, rapid decision-making, sophisticated communication, and remarkable physical capabilities. Every aspect of your biology and behavior has been refined through countless generations of natural selection, creating a creature that is simultaneously fragile and resilient, simple and complex, perfectly adapted to a world that is constantly changing. What emerges from this evolved existence is a profound understanding of time itself. For the green tree frog, time doesn't flow in the linear fashion we humans experience. Instead, it pulses in rhythms dictated by temperature, humidity, and light cycles. When autumn arrives and the air grows crisp, their metabolism doesn't simply slow down, it fundamentally shifts into a different gear entirely. This seasonal transformation is nothing short of miraculous. As temperatures drop, the frog's body begins producing specialized proteins that act as natural anti-freeze, preventing ice crystals from forming in their cells. Their heart rate plummets from over 100 beats per minute to just a few. Their breathing becomes so shallow it's barely detectable. Yet they remain aware, existing in a state between life and death that would be impossible for most creatures. During these months of dormancy, tucked beneath logs or buried in leaf litter, they experience something we can barely comprehend. Their consciousness doesn't disappear, it transforms. They can still sense vibrations through the ground, still detect changes in temperature and moisture. But these sensations reach them as if through thick glass, muffled and distant. It's a meditative state that could last for months, where a single thought might stretch across weeks of human time. The emergence from this dormancy is equally extraordinary. As spring warmth penetrates their hiding places, their bodies don't simply wake up, they resurrect. Blood begins flowing more rapidly, organs restart their full function, and that incredible skin begins absorbing moisture from the awakening world around them. The first breath of active air fills lungs that have been barely functioning for months. It's a rebirth that happens with the gradual certainty of sunrise. But perhaps most remarkable is how this seasonal cycle connects to their reproductive urgency. Male frogs emerging from dormancy carry within them an overwhelming biological imperative that has been building throughout their months of stillness. Their vocal sacs, dormant through winter, suddenly swell with the capacity for calls that can carry for miles through the humid spring air. These aren't just mating calls, they're proclamations of survival, announcements that they've endured another cycle of near death and emerged victorious. The females, equally transformed by their emergence, carry within them eggs that represent months of biological investment. Each egg is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, containing not just genetic material, but a complete life support system designed to function in the unpredictable aquatic environments where they'll be deposited. The shell is permeable enough to allow oxygen exchange, but strong enough to protect the developing embryo from predators and environmental toxins. This reproductive cycle reveals another layer of the frog's complex existence. They don't simply mate and move on. The process involves elaborate courtship rituals where males compete not just through vocal displays, but through physical demonstrations of fitness. They'll wrestle other males, engage in acoustic duels that can last for hours, and perform intricate dances on lily pads or branches overhanging the water. The successful male doesn't just fertilize eggs, he often guards them, sometimes for days or weeks. This paternal investment in a creature often dismissed as simple as profound. He'll position himself near the egg mass, ward off potential predators, and even adjust his own body temperature to help regulate the microclimate around the developing embryos. Some species take this even further, with males carrying eggs on their backs or in specialized pouches until they hatch. The transformation from egg to tadpole to adult frog is a complete metamorphosis that rivals any science fiction shape-shifting scenario. The tadpole that emerges from the egg is essentially an aquatic alien, with gills for breathing water, a tail for swimming, and a completely different digestive system designed for processing algae and plant matter. Its eyes are positioned differently, its brain is structured for aquatic navigation, and its skin lacks the sophisticated chemical processing capabilities of the adult. The metamorphosis process is triggered by a complex cascade of hormones that essentially dissolve the tadpole's body and rebuild it from the inside out. The tail is absorbed back into the body, providing nutrients for the developing legs. The gills are replaced by lungs in a process that must be perfectly timed or the creature will drown. The digestive system is completely reconstructed to handle the carnivorous diet of the adult frog. Even the skin undergoes a complete transformation, developing the permeable, chemical sensing, antibiotic producing surface that will define the rest of its existence. This metamorphosis isn't just a biological process, it's a complete identity change. The creature that emerges from the water is fundamentally different from the one that entered it as an egg. Its sensory world has expanded to include not just the chemical signatures dissolved in water, but the complex atmospheric cocktail of airborne molecules. Its hunting strategies have shifted from passive grazing to active predation, requiring split-second timing and precise muscular coordination. Living as a green tree frog means existing in a state of constant environmental monitoring that would overwhelm most creatures. Every moment involves processing thousands of chemical signals, acoustic cues, visual changes, and tactile sensations. The frog's brain, though small, is remarkably efficient at filtering this sensory flood into actionable information. It can distinguish between the wing beats of a potential meal and a potential predator, between the chemical signature of clean water and contaminated water, between the vibrations of another frog's movement and the footsteps of a larger threat. This sensory sophistication extends to their social interactions in ways that continue to surprise researchers. Green tree frogs maintain complex territorial boundaries that exist not just in physical space but in acoustic space. A male's call doesn't just announce his presence, it establishes a three-dimensional sound territory that other males recognize and respect. These acoustic territories can overlap with physical territories in intricate ways, creating a social landscape that exists primarily in the realm of sound. The sophistication of their communication system becomes even more apparent during breeding season, when multiple males may call simultaneously without interfering with each other's signals. They achieve this through a combination of frequency modulation, timing coordination, and spatial positioning that allows dozens of individual voices to coexist in the same acoustic environment while remaining distinct and recognizable. But what happens when night falls and the world shifts into a completely different reality? This is when the green tree frog's existence transforms most dramatically, revealing perhaps the most fascinating aspect of their daily cycle. While humans retreat indoors and rely on artificial light, these remarkable amphibians embrace the darkness as their natural domain, navigating a nocturnal world that demands an entirely different set of survival strategies. The transition from day to night isn't just a simple behavioral switch for green tree frogs. It's a complete physiological and psychological transformation that begins even before the sun disappears. As daylight fades, their internal clocks trigger cascading changes throughout their bodies. Hormone levels shift, metabolism increases, and sensory systems recalibrate for optimal nighttime performance. Their pupils dilate to capture every available photon, while their skin begins subtle color adjustments that will serve them throughout the dark hours ahead. This nocturnal awakening reveals one of nature's most sophisticated timing systems. Green tree frogs possess an internal chronometer so precise it can anticipate environmental changes hours in advance. Their circadian rhythms aren't just responding to light and darkness, they're integrating temperature fluctuations, humidity levels, barometric pressure, and even the subtle electromagnetic changes that occur as Earth rotates through its daily cycle. This biological clock doesn't just tell them when to be active, it orchestrates every aspect of their nighttime existence with remarkable precision. As darkness settles, their world expands exponentially. Territory that seemed confined during daylight hours suddenly becomes a three-dimensional hunting ground filled with opportunity and danger. The same branches that provided daytime shelter now serve as highways through a complex aerial landscape. Every leaf becomes a potential platform, every crevice a hiding spot, every surface a potential source of prey or peril. Their sticky toe pads, which seemed almost mundane during daylight rest, now reveal themselves as sophisticated climbing technology that would make human engineers envious. The acoustic landscape of night brings both opportunity and terror. While darkness limits visual predator detection, it amplifies every sound into crucial survival information. The rustle of a leaf might signal an approaching snake, the soft footfall of a hunting mammal, or the movement of potential prey. Green tree frogs have evolved to decode this symphony of night sounds with extraordinary precision, distinguishing between the wing beats of edible insects and those of dangerous predators, between the harmless movement of wind through vegetation and the purposeful approach of a hunting animal. But perhaps most remarkably, nighttime reveals the true complexity of their social world. While they appear solitary during the day, darkness brings out intricate social behaviors that rival those of much more complex animals. Males begin their evening preparations for potential territorial disputes, vocal competitions, and mating displays. Females assess environmental conditions to determine optimal timing for reproductive activities. Young frogs navigate the delicate balance between exploration and safety as they venture beyond their established territories for the first time. The hunting strategies that emerge after dark showcase millions of years of evolutionary refinement. These aren't random opportunistic feeding behaviors, but sophisticated predatory techniques adapted to specific prey types and environmental conditions. Their approach to catching flying insects differs completely from their method of capturing ground-dwelling arthropods. They've developed specialized techniques for hunting in rain, in wind, and even in the challenging conditions created by artificial lighting that increasingly dominates their habitat. Night hunting requires split-second decision-making under extreme uncertainty. A green tree frog must simultaneously track multiple potential prey items while monitoring for predators, all while maintaining balance on surfaces that might be wet, unstable, or moving in the wind. Their nervous system processes visual, chemical, and vibrational information in real time, creating a three-dimensional map of opportunity and danger that updates continuously as they move through their environment. The energy economics of nighttime activity reveal another layer of their remarkable adaptation. Every movement, every hunt, every territorial display must be carefully calculated against energy expenditure. They've evolved internal accounting systems that track caloric intake against energy output with precision that would impress any efficiency expert. This isn't conscious calculation, but rather deeply embedded biological programming that ensures survival in an environment where energy waste can mean death. Temperature regulation becomes critically important during nighttime activity. While the cooler air might seem to limit their capabilities, green tree frogs have developed sophisticated thermoregulation strategies that allow them to maintain optimal body temperature for hunting and social activities. They position themselves to capture radiated heat from surfaces that absorb sunlight during the day, use muscular activity to generate internal heat, and even modify their behavior patterns to work within temperature constraints. As dawn approaches, the transition back to daytime behavior requires another complete physiological reset. Hormones shift again, sensory systems readjust, and the remarkable biological machinery that enabled their nighttime adventures gradually powers down. But this isn't simply a return to inactivity. The experiences of the night, the successful hunts, the territorial encounters, the social interactions, all become integrated into their growing understanding of their environment and their place within it. This daily cycle of transformation, repeated thousands of times throughout their lives, represents one of nature's most elegant solutions to the challenge of survival in a world that changes dramatically every 12 hours. The green tree frog's ability to essentially become a different animal each night while maintaining the same biological framework demonstrates an evolutionary achievement that continues to inspire scientists and naturalists alike. As we reach the end of our journey through the life of a green tree frog, we find ourselves confronted with a profound truth about existence itself. This isn't just a story of a small amphibian navigating a hostile world. It's a meditation on what it means to be truly alive, to be present in each moment, to make split-second decisions that determine survival or death. The green tree frog lives in a state of perpetual awareness that most creatures, including humans, rarely achieve. Every breath is intentional, every movement calculated, every sound analyzed for threat or opportunity. There's no room for distraction, no luxury of complacency. The frog exists in what we might call a state of perfect mindfulness, where the present moment is all that matters because the present moment is all there is. Think about the extraordinary complexity we've uncovered. The frog's skin isn't just a barrier, it's a multifunctional organ that breathes, secretes toxins, changes color, and regulates temperature. Its eyes don't just see, they process multiple layers of visual information simultaneously, detecting movement, measuring distance, and identifying threats or prey. Its ears don't just hear, they decode a symphony of environmental data that would overwhelm our human senses. But perhaps most remarkable is the frog's relationship with uncertainty. It doesn't know if the next leap will land on solid ground or send it tumbling into the jaws of a predator. It doesn't know if the next rainfall will provide fresh breeding opportunities or wash away its carefully chosen shelter. It doesn't know if the approaching winter will offer adequate hibernation sites or prove fatal. Yet it continues. It adapts. It perseveres. This is the essence of what we might call biological courage. Not the conscious bravery of a human facing known danger, but the deeper, more fundamental courage of a creature that embraces uncertainty as the natural state of existence. The frog doesn't fight against the unpredictability of life, it dances with it. In our modern world, we often seek certainty, predictability, control. We build elaborate systems to minimize risk, to guarantee outcomes, to shield ourselves from the raw uncertainty that defines natural existence. But the green tree frog reminds us that uncertainty isn't something to be conquered. It's something to be navigated with grace, intelligence, and an almost artistic sense of timing. The frog's survival depends not on eliminating variables, but on becoming extraordinarily skilled at reading them. It doesn't try to control the weather, but it becomes masterful at predicting and responding to atmospheric changes. It doesn't eliminate predators from its environment, but it develops exquisite skills for avoiding them. It doesn't guarantee successful reproduction, but it maximizes every opportunity when conditions align. This is a fundamentally different approach to existence than what we see in many human endeavors. The frog doesn't try to dominate its environment, it integrates with it. It becomes part of the ecosystem's rhythm rather than trying to impose its own rhythm on the ecosystem. There's a humility here, a recognition that survival depends on understanding and respecting forces far greater than oneself. Yet within this humility lies incredible sophistication. The frog's ability to read environmental cues, to time its activities with seasonal cycles, to navigate complex social hierarchies during breeding season, to make instantaneous decisions about threat assessment, these are skills that rival any human expertise. The difference is that the frog's expertise is embodied, instinctive, integrated into every cell of its being. The green tree frog also teaches us about the relationship between individual survival and collective benefit. Its role as both predator and prey, its function in controlling insect populations, its contribution to ecosystem health, these remind us that no creature exists in isolation. The frog's survival strategies benefit not just itself, but the entire web of life it inhabits. When we consider the frog's lifespan, typically 5 to 10 years in the wild, we're looking at a relatively brief existence packed with extraordinary intensity. Every day brings multiple life or death decisions. Every season demands complete behavioral and physiological adaptation. Every year requires navigating the complex challenges of reproduction, territory establishment, and seasonal transitions. There's something almost zen-like about this existence. The frog doesn't waste energy on regret about past decisions or anxiety about future challenges. It exists fully in the present moment, responding to immediate circumstances with the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. It's a masterclass in presence, in attention, in the art of being fully alive. As we conclude this exploration, we're left with a sense of awe at the complexity, beauty, and wisdom embodied in this small creature. The green tree frog's life is a testament to the extraordinary possibilities that emerge when intelligence, adaptability, and awareness converge. It's a reminder that survival isn't just about avoiding death, it's about embracing life with such intensity and skill that every moment becomes a masterpiece of biological artistry. In the end, the green tree frog's existence offers us a different model for living. Not one based on control and predictability, but on awareness and adaptability. Not one focused on individual achievements, but on integration with larger systems. Not one that fears uncertainty, but one that finds beauty and opportunity in the endless dance of change that defines all life. This is what it means to live as a green tree frog. To be simultaneously vulnerable and resilient, small and mighty, simple and sophisticated, to exist at the intersection of earth and sky, water and air, stillness and movement, to be a perfect expression of life's endless creativity, adaptation, and persistence. To be, in every sense, a small miracle navigating an uncertain world with grace, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to the beautiful complexity of simply being alive.